Hello and welcome to your introductory training videos, and on this video number 3 we are looking at marketing and workflows. Looking at what we're going to cover over this video, we're going to think about preparing a property for marketing, producing property particulars, sending those particulars out for vendor approval, putting the property on the market, and finishing up with simple property matching. The first thing we're going to think about is preparing a property for marketing, so we're going to look at setting the street view, setting match criteria, adding adverts, adding star items, photos, floor plans and EPCs, and adding room details. So everything that we need to do to get a property ready for marketing. So hopping into Expert Agent, the property I added in the last video is the one that I'm going to be using today. So hovering over the navigation history, I'm going to select that from the drop down. Now you can, of course, if it is in your quick find box or your quick find tab rather, select it from there, or you can search for it using the search box up at the top, either by property address, vendor 1 name, vendor 2 name, or property ID, or you can search for it on your property's dashboard or your property's grid as well. Easiest way is through the navigation history if it is one of the last 20 records you've been looking at, and click onto it there and that will open up the property record. So what we're going to do on this video is just go from the presentation tab all the way across to the brochures tab and do all of the relevant information, or change any of the relevant information we need to change to make this property suitable for marketing. So on the last video we added the property in, we went to our valuation and we confirmed the valuation. Now what we're doing is getting it ready for marketing to then put the property on the market. So the first tab is the presentation tab, and what you get in the presentation tab is the presentation details. Once you've added in your standard advert text, that will be here as well. And once you've added in the photos, they'll be sitting over here on the right hand side. The only thing that we need to do from this screen at this point is to set the street view on the property. And it's that little street view symbol there in the middle. At the bottom, little man standing in a white circle. So if I click on that one, it opens up a view that I'm sure most of you are familiar with. Google Maps up at the top, Google Street View down at the bottom. Now to set the street view, it plonks it somewhere in the middle of the postcode area. So you just click and drag and move it around. You can go up and down the street if you need to. But make sure you're focusing on the correct property as clearly as you can, given the fact that this is quite a narrow street. This is the actual property, so I'm just going to leave it as that and press the save button down at the bottom. That then fixes it in there, so when an applicant is looking at this property online, if they click onto the street view symbol, it will give them that view that I've just saved. Doesn't mean that they can't go out and move themselves though up and down the street. It just shows them what you want them to see when they first click into it. Clicking into the details tab, a lot of this information we added in the wizard when we added the property on the last video, and also the fee details here when we confirmed the valuation. So there's a lot of information in here. The only thing that we need to change at this point is the council tax band. So you can set the EPC rating from here, and you can also set the council tax band as well. If you're unsure of the council tax band, there is an England and Wales lookup and a Scotland lookup, and you just click on those buttons. The England and Wales takes you to voa.gov.uk. So just going to type in the postcode and press search. So we're looking at 1 Shepherd's Barton there, so it's council tax band C. So select C from the drop down. Now I have got up here a pink bar telling me there are pending changes to this record. I don't have to save now because all I'm doing is going on to the next tab, the vendors tab. However, if you were leaving this property and going on to something else or opening up another tab with an expert agent, I would always advise to save this property even if you're not actually coming out of expert agent. Just make sure you're saving regularly, not all the time. You don't have to save it whenever that pops up, but make sure you're saving regularly, and especially if you are navigating away from this record or logging out of expert agent. So on the vendors tab, you've got your vendor details, and now all this is text boxes here, so you can fill in any of information that you missed perhaps when you were first adding the property in, or you can fill in the information for vendor 2 here if you need it as well. Moving on to the Access tab, this is where you can start adding details on access of the property and things like your viewing arrangements. So for example, no viewings after 6 p.m. Please give 24 hours notice where possible. No unaccompanied viewings, etc. You've then got occupier notes if the property is occupied by anyone other than the vendor. Quite useful for lettings properties. And then you've got your access notes. So access notes is where I would put things like the alarm code and where the alarm code panel is situated. So panel is situated inside the front door on the right hand side. You've then got your occupier details here as well. So again, mainly useful for lettings, but it is there for sales if you need it. And if it is a lettings property, if you add the occupier details in here, you will then have the option of sending a text message to the occupier from the property record as well. You've also got the option to add key details in here as well. So I'm going to select new key and just start typing in the keys if we've got them. It will tell you if the key number already exists, but you can overwrite that just by pressing the OK button. Select the status and then any notes here. So gold key for top lock, silver for bottom. And then save. And you can go ahead and add all of your key details in and then reserve and loan keys once you're ready to start doing viewings on this property. Moving on to the match criteria tab. Now we did have a very brief look at this in the last video, but what this contains is all of the information that is relevant for your matching for your applicants. Alright, that will make more sense once we've actually had a look at matching at the end of this video, but all of this relevant information is with regards to matching. Moving on to the adverts tab, this is where you can start adding advert details in for the property. So the first thing there, you've got the advert header, which defaults to be the town and the street name. You can change that if you want to, but be aware that will pull through onto your portals and your website. So if you are changing it, make sure that everyone in your office is changing it uniformly. You've then got a short SMS description, which is for text matching purposes. If you want to send properties out via text message, you need to make sure that this is filled in. Otherwise, this property will not get sent out via text message. You've got a character count up, a character count down. It's always best to leave it at about 50 characters, which is around 7 words, because Expert Agent will put more characters in there, including a mini URL, and you don't want to go into 2 text messages. So recently refurbished 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom. Okay, that's about enough there. Advert 1 is the main advert text for this property. So I'm just going to click the edit button here and paste in some advert text, which I've just copied from somewhere else. Press the tick button. That's not the save, it's just a tick. And you'll notice that I've still got the pending changes here. That is because adding that information in doesn't save the property record, it just adds it into this box here, which then pulls it into this box here. Now your advert 1 is the main advert text, which can be shown on brochures. Internet advert is the advert that shows on the portals and your websites. Do a quick save on that one just to make sure that that information gets saved in there. Now you can have these two different, they do default to be the same, but they can be different. Click the edit button on internet advert and then press the edit radial button here, and that will open up the internet advert box, and you can then edit your internet advert to be slightly different to the advert 1. Underneath that, or next to that, you've got advert 2, then underneath you've got advert 3, 4 and 5. Within the training account, they are labelled newspaper, direction, situation and spare. You can label those in your configuration. And what that labelling is used for is literally just to tell your staff members what information you want them to add into those boxes. It doesn't automatically pull through onto anywhere. If you did want to show the directions pod, for example, on your brochures, you need to make sure that you're pulling that merge code onto your brochures. But those boxes are for anything that you want them to be used for. They are spare advert boxes. At the bottom, you've also got the short URL and you can regenerate that if you need to. You've also got the option to generate the EPC from here, which will go onto the links tab, which I'll show you in just a minute. And then you've also got your third-party website URL as well. Moving on to the star items, it does say up at the top here, please note only star items 1 to 10 are accepted by the portals, and that's these ones down the left hand side. However, you have got the space to add up to 20 if you want to use up to 20 on your brochures. So these are for the unique selling points of the property, so things like, for example, great transport links, large rear garden, off-street parking, stunning views, double glazing throughout, new conservatory. Okay, all the things that I'm literally getting the information for, and I'm putting them onto the brochure and the portals and the website to grab people's attention. Next, we're moving on to the Photos tab, and this is where we can start adding photos for this property record. So over in the left-hand side, you click the Add Photos button. That pops up with this box here, and it does say we recommend the maximum size for each image doesn't exceed 1.5 megabytes, as larger files take longer to upload into Expert Agent. Now what that means is you can upload photo files that are larger than 1.5, maybe 2 megabytes. However, it will take much longer to get those photos logged into Expert Agent. All right, so don't worry if you only have photos that are, 4 megabytes or something like that. It will still work. You can still upload those photos. It just takes a little bit longer, and just be aware of that. So I'm going to press the select button here. Takes me onto my local hard drive, where I'm going to hold down the control key and add multiple photos in. Press the open button, and what that will do there, as you can see, is it is kind of doing its mini upload to get those files ready to get uploaded into Expert Agent. So we've got the sort of green circle button next to all of them. We can now press the save button, and that will get them logged into Expert Agent. So those photos are now uploaded, so what we need to do is just click and drag on this screen and move the photos around. You can also move them around pressing the save button here. You can move them around using these buttons here, so you just click on them and move them down. Once you're done with that, what you can do is actually rename those photos as well. Looks a little bit more professional if you have an applicant that is trying to look at the photos online and actually doesn't have a very good internet connection. If those photos are loading up a little slowly, it will say front of house rather than the file name. So I'm just going to save notes on that one and go ahead and just rename all of my photos. Okay, so all those are now renamed. Once again, doing a quick save, and then we'll move on to the Floor Plans tab. This is where you can upload floor plans to the property. So click the Upload Floor Plan button, give it a title, and then choose your floor plan. So again, press the Select button, goes off to your local hard drive, click on the floor plan and press Open. And then Save, and that's uploaded the floor plan. So again, Upload Floor Plan, give it a title, select, click on floor plan, open, save. Now if you notice there are only spaces for 3 floor plans, so if you've got more than that, you will need to think about putting more than one photo onto an image. Now these are image files, so they need to be JPEGs or PNGs, they cannot be PDFs. We've then got the Links tab. Now links is where you can store extra information onto a property record. So not a brochure, not photos, not floor plans, anything else. So for example, the EPC. Now these links can be set as file links or they can be set as web links. If they are file links, they can show on your website and you can have them on your brochures as well. If they are web links, they can show on your portals and your website. Anything you do use here, any of these that we do upload, will get shown on the website if we've chosen to have them showing on the website. If I don't use them, they won't show. So if I don't upload an EPC, there won't be a blank space on the brochure, on the internet saying click here to view EPC. There just won't be the option to view the EPC. So click the edit button. It's a file upload, so we press the select button here and upload our EPC. Local information as another example is a web link, so click the edit button and type in your web link and then save. Now our marketing appraisal form is set as an internal link, meaning even if we do use it, it won't show on our portals. All right, and that is just for our benefit. So we know where the marketing appraisal form is stored on the property. It's stored on the links tab. So anybody that needs to find the marketing appraisal form for a property can find it on the links tab. So press the select button, and we've used our marketing appraisal form that we took to our appraisal on the last video. We've come back from our appraisal, we've scanned it in, and we're now uploading it onto the property record. Then the last tab we need to think about is the Brochures tab. And this is where we start adding room details. So on the room details sub-tab, you click add a room. So we give the room a title and start typing in the feet and inches. That will then populate the meters for you. You can type the meters in and that will populate the feet and inches. However, the size text box down here will always show the feet and inches first and the meters in brackets. So if you want to manipulate that, you can. So I'm just going to copy the feet and inches there. So highlight it and Control C on my keyboard and then delete. Get rid of the brackets here, put the brackets back in, Control V to paste that back in, close the brackets in. Description of my property, of the room rather, and then we can also assign an image to it as well. Now we're going to add another room, so I'm going to keep that one ticked and press the save button. So then we start adding in the title of the second room. Typing in the feet and inches and typing in the description. Add image again if you need to. Add another room and press the save button. Now if you've got an L-shaped room, what you will need to do is remember that the size text box will show the feet and inches. Now what you also need to remember is that you need to manipulate that box to show both sets of measurements. So we're going to add in here living room, for example. The first set of measurements, and then highlight the size text box. Control C on your keyboard to copy, and then put in the new set of measurements. Put your cursor back in the size text box at the beginning or the end, wherever you want the first set of measurements to appear. Control V on your keyboard to paste those first set in, space by space, and then at the end you can put, if you need to, L-shaped room. Then add your details in. I'm not going to add another one, so I'm just going to press the save button. At this point then you can click and drag and move those rooms around and then press save new room order. And you would go ahead and add all of your rooms in, assigning images if you need to and manipulating that size text box as well. So next we're going to think about producing property particulars, so creating the particulars and uploading the PDF to Expert Agent. So brochures are created from the Brochures tab of the property record and the Word Brochure sub-tab. Once you have got all of your brochure templates set up within Expert Agent, they will be sitting on these drop-downs here and here. So you click into the drop-down and you select which template you wish to use. Now at this point it doesn't matter whether you use Office or website, and I'll show you why in a minute, but you press the Create Brochure button. What that will do is then pop up with a pop-up which you leave on your screen, and it will then start downloading that brochure in Word for you. So leave this on your screen, don't close this down yet. So it started downloading in Word, so click onto it to open it up, and you've got your brochure. So what you've got there is the main image. So we've then got our star items, our further 3 images, our room details, and our floor plans and the EPC at the bottom. So that's how we've set the brochure template to pull all of that relevant information through. Now what you can do at this point is actually manipulate it. So we'll get rid of that text box. This one will make slightly smaller. And this floor plan will maybe move up a little bit just to minimize the amount of white space we've got going on this brochure. Also, what you may notice is that the price hasn't pulled through, and that's done it for a very specific reason. So don't ever put the price into your Word brochure at this point. Never, ever, ever write your price into the Word document. It has done that for a very particular reason. So leave that as it is. Now, even though I have made some changes, even if I hadn't made changes, I would still need to save. But I've made some changes, so I'm going to go File and Save As, and save onto my local hard drive. But as I said, even if you hadn't made changes with a brochure, you still need to save. Now, a lot of people think that you print from your Word document, and that's why they write the price in. You don't print from here, you print from the PDF. So just close down Word at this point. On this screen here, it won't let you save without uploading that brochure back into the system, and it does that obviously just to remind you that you have to actually save that even if you don't make changes to it. So press select and go and upload your brochure. Now, the reason why it didn't matter whether I chose office or website brochure from the screen behind on the drop down is because you've got the options here. Now, if you wanted to only upload this as the office, you just untick website, or also vice versa. If you want to do it as both, then tick both, and it means you don't have to do this process twice. Press the Save button, and that will tell you that your brochure has been put into the queue for conversion. Now, this normally takes up to probably about 2 minutes. It can take a little bit longer, please do be aware of that one, and it will send you a message in the top. What it's doing is it's pulling that brochure through from Word and putting it in the queue. Once it's at the top of the queue, it will then turn it into a PDF and place that price on the PDF for you. It will also tell you via message once that's done. So at this point, whilst you're waiting for it, you can actually navigate away from the property and go and get on with the rest of your day and wait for your brochure to come back. Once your message icon up at the top has gone pink, it's expanded out with that number and the blue starburst is there. If you click on that one, you'll have a message from yourself telling you that your brochure is ready. You've got the option to open the PDF at this point just to check that it has worked properly, which it has. You can see the prices in there, the fact that we moved that text down and we moved that floor plan up has been changed as well. So I'm quite happy with that one, so I can print it down at the bottom, print a couple out and pop them in my desk and close down the PDF. What I will need to do now though is click on the linked record within the message and refresh my property so that the brochure is now assigned here, but also on the brochures tab as well. There and there. Once you've created your particulars, it is a good idea to try and send them out to your vendor for approval. So we're going to think about sending those particulars out. So creating the letter to send to the vendor and applying the changes to the particulars. So this is done from the property record. So as always, how you create a letter is by opening up the action menu and selecting the relevant option from the action menu. And this one is letters, emails and SMS. We've then got the option here to create a letter, email or SMS, which I'm going to click on and takes me through to the template grid. Okay, so as always, as I said in the last couple of videos, if you are creating a letter, you will generally be working from the Our Letters tab. Those are the ones that you have created. However, I am actually going to be working from the Expert Agent default letters. Now, those are letters that we have created for you to copy across. Previously, we've looked at Word, and in this time, though, I am actually going to look at HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It is a computer language, and as such it is interpreted differently on different computers. So where possible, always use the Word versions of letters rather than HTML. However, HTML does have its place, and one of its places is sending your brochure out for approval. So I've got this one here, so I'm going to click onto it, and you can see the difference is that it opens up that letter within Expert Agent. So I'm just going to type in my recipient's name and press the email button down at the bottom. I'm going to send it to the vendor, and I'm going to attach the office brochure. I could also attach the EPC or your marketing appraisal form if you need to as well. Those are the two file links we've got set on the links tab of the property record, and then send an email. That will attach a PDF version of the brochure. Save and close, and that will go on the events tab of the property record that we created that letter and that we sent it out. I can then of course create a new event as well down at the bottom, just to sit there, chase up vendor regarding property brochure. And I'm going to set that as a task for myself for a couple of days' time. That will then mark a task for me on the task pod of my homepage on the 28th to remind me to get in touch with the vendor regarding the brochure, because we haven't heard back from them. Once you've got the brochure back for approval, one thing you might need to think about is actually making any changes to it. Now, the most obvious change you're going to make is a price change, and that is really, really simple to do. Within the system on the property record, right click, change status or price, and price change. So we're going to put the new price in there. We're going to put it up to $360. And just change all of these to $360. Press the save button, and what you will see is what it's doing is that it will actually change the brochures for me as well. And the reason why it's changing the brochures for me is because I did not write the price into the Word brochure. The Word brochure has kept that merge code in there so that the brochures have now been queued for regeneration due to the price change, and when those brochures come back to me after being regenerated again, the price will be the new price. So once again, you wait for your brochures to come back for you from your messages system. You will get two new messages, one for the office brochure and one for the website brochure. So if you click into your messages and open up the first one, you can check the PDF there and just check that that price has been changed, and you can see it has. And that's because I did not write the price into the Word document. So click on the linked record and refresh your property, and do that again with the other message. Next thing we're going to think about is putting the property on the market, so changing the status to on market, social networking and boards. So we've done everything that we need to do for this property to get ready for marketing, and the last thing to do is actually put it on the market. Right click on the action menu, change status or price, change status. Now if you have got a lettings property that you want to put on the market, the option will be mark available to let, not put on market. So we're just going to select put on market or available to let, whichever one you are doing, whether they're sales or a lettings property. And that will pop up with all sorts of various pop-ups here. The first one is the Expert Agent Marketplace, where you can order products and services from our third-party partners. As I showed you on the last video, you've also got the option to upsell to clients as well. If you don't want to, you can actually just close this box down. So we've got the market property pop-up here, and we've got show on website, show on portals, and match this property. Now, if you wanted this to make this a featured property on your own website that's powered by our powering, so if an Expert Agent website, you can. We are going to show full details on the web. We're also going to post to Facebook and Twitter. We ordered the EPC last Monday. We received it this Monday, We did the money laundering checks on Monday as well, and the method we used for the money laundering checks was a passport. Press the save button and that will pop up with all sorts of various things here, and the first one is your change property board. So we're going to change the status of the board. We're going to ask our contractor to put a for sale board up. We require it to get put up today, and we require action, meaning I need to tell the system that we've actually done it, or that the contractor's actually done it. The notes there, so please affix to right hand gatepost, and we then select our contractor. Now you can actually only send the board contractor emails or text messages from Expert Agent if you can email or text your board contractor. If you have to log into their system, unfortunately you cannot do this. So we're going to search for our board contractor here, select them and send them an email. New board please on the email. We're going to mark our request as actioned because we know he'll get it done today. If you want to wait for him to come back and tell you that he's done it and then manually mark them as actioned, you can untick that and press create. That will send off the email, and on the details tab you can see that the for sale board is up and it requires action. Once you get confirmation from your board contractor that he's done that, you can click on the required action, right click and mark as actioned. Back onto the property, what you'll also have as pop-ups is your Facebook and Twitter pop-up as well. So I'm just going to log in here. Once you've then logged in, you will get this screen here, and that will give you the option of changing the post in here. So all I'm just going to do is put in the heading and then press the save button, and that will then get posted to Facebook. Now to show you the Twitter post, it's on my other screen. I'm just going to pull it over. Again, it'll give you the option to change the post. I've got a couple more characters left, so I'm just going to make it the same as our Facebook post and then log in. Okay. So that's been posted on Twitter, and if we view it on Twitter now, you can see it's got that tiny URL there, and if we click on that one, that will show us the property. So this property is now fully on the market. If we open up the tooltip here, you can see it's on the market and it's marketed, and we've done everything we can. It's on the website, it's on the portals, and now we'll maybe think about doing a match for all of our existing customers. Speaking of matching, let's have a think then about simple property matching, so understanding the quick match and using the match processor. So matching is a way of getting this information out to your customers. So on the property record, you can match applicants out to the property, and from an applicant record, you can match applicants to properties. But on this property, we're going to right click, and there are two ways of matching. You've got your match processor and the quick match. Looking at match processor first, that will take you through to a match grid. Now it is a standard grid. You've got your information panel up at the top, the main body of the grid below, and the action menu, and also you've got the option to choose columns from here as well, so you're seeing on your match grid what you need to see. Now, a lot of people at this point think that they've done something wrong with matching because it's not showing you anything. Now, what the system is waiting for you to do is tell it what you want it to do. So we need to run this new match. So on the action menu, you've got the option of new match, but also down at the bottom, you've got the option to add an applicant. If you know this applicant isn't going to get matched out to this particular property for any particular reason, but you think they might still like it. So we're going to select new match. And we're going to include applicants that have already been matched to this property if it's had a price change. We're going to include other office applicants as well. Those are other office applicants within your business, not everybody else across Expert Agent. And clear filters when running a match. Really important, that bottom one, to make sure that you are seeing all of the relevant matches that come up and nothing's hidden behind a filter. Press the save button and it will come back and tell you how many matches it's found. Press the OK button and that will populate your match grid for you. So what you can do at this point is actually open up your information panel and work your way down at the applicant section and just have a look at the applicants and what applicants is pulled back for this particular property, and untick any that you don't want to send this to. So I'm just going to untick this one. It's what we call a sense check. Once I've done that, right click and reject excluded. So what I did by unticking them was exclude them, and I am now rejecting the excluded to get those ones out of the grid, to get those 4 out of the grid, and I'm left with the 6 that I want to send. So to send them, I'm going to right click and select my outputs option and select the option to send an email. I can also send a text message or create letters and reports and labels and things like that as well, but I'm going to send a quick email. So this email is going to 6 different applicants. All of those applicants will be BCC'd in, so they will not see the other applicant's email address, so just be aware of that one. So what I'm going to put in here is just new instruction, 1 Shepherd's Barton. I'm going to mark my matches as complete and exclude upon completion, because what the system is now going to do is going to go through the first applicant and see whether they're ticked to receive emails. If they are ticked to receive emails, see that they have a valid email address. If they have a valid email address, it will then send them that email, mark that particular match as complete and remove it from the grid and go down to the next one. And it will work its way down the 6 applicants like that. So that's a very safe thing to do when sending out your matches via email. So it sent out my 6 emails, so I'm going to press the OK button. I'm left with an empty grey grid. It's the same way I started, so I can now close down that matches grid, and on the events tab of my property record, you can see all of my matches are now in the events tab. The other way of doing matching is by doing a match called a quick match. Now the quick match is, as the name suggests, a very quick way of matching. It will come back and tell you how many matches it's found without taking you onto a match grid. It will then pop up with the email, giving you the option to send the email, but not giving you the option to work with your matches or choose who you send those matches to. Okay. So again, you've got those 2 options down at the bottom, and press the save button. So remember, it matched it out to 10 applicants. It's only sent out 9 emails because one of those applicants hasn't got it. So what I would need to do now is right click, matching, match processor, and find that particular match that has not been sent. Now if I click into that match, and then from the match click into the applicant, we can see why this hasn't actually gone. And the reason why it hasn't gone is because despite the fact they have an email address and it looks like it's valid, they haven't got ticked send emails. So they're not ticked to receive emails from us. So what I can do with this match is either mark it as rejected, or I can, on the match grid, right click, change status and mark it as rejected from there, or select outputs and send a letter or a list or a text message if I need to. I, however, am just going to change status and mark this one as rejected because I always need an empty grid. So even though I did that quick match, I still had to go onto the match grid. So I always suggest that people use match processor in the place of quick match. But if you do want to use quick match, it is there for you to use. There is a matching training session held every other Thursday at 2, but please do get yourself signed on for that one. But there is also the video on our YouTube channel as well. So that's it for me on this video. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch it. Do hope you found it beneficial. The next video in this module is applicants and viewings.